Hey guys, 3 minutes. 3 minutes till our service starts. Go ahead, grab your seats. Make sure you got a full cup of wagon coffee. And do us all a favor. Please share our feeds on Facebook and YouTube so that all your friends and family can watch as well. 2:45, service will start. Welcome to Free Spiritual Community.
Evening, everybody, and welcome to Free. I'm Ryan. I'm the pastor and executive director here. So good to be with you on another Saturday evening here in Denver, Colorado. For all of you joining us online, welcome to Free. We're glad you join us each week, or maybe you're joining us like later in the week and it's like Wednesday by the time they watch this. We're glad you're part of it. We're glad you're part of this community. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Now, to just give you the reminder, this is a community for addicts, loved ones of addicts, and spiritual refugees. And what we do here is break the silence of addiction and create space for healing, recovery, and spiritual connection. It's why we exist. And we do remind each other each and every week of what we don't do. And I just love it when they say it back to us because I need the reminder too. So on the count of three, all four words from you all, the people. 1, 2, 3. Man, that had some robustness to it tonight. Y'all are on fire. I'm feeling it. Okay, lots happening. So we're not just going to waste time by doing things. We're actually going to, not that we ever waste time by doing things, but we're just going to jump into it. I don't know. Tell us what's going on in the community, Noelle.
Well, if it's your first night here, we're really glad you're here. Welcome. We have welcome bags right outside the store here. They have a little bit about what we do here at Free, a little bit about what Wagon Coffee does. There's some swag items in there and some bracelets. So please grab one on your way out and just know that we're really grateful that you're here if it's your first time here. Next up, so next Saturday, we are going to be having a Halloween party the whole night. But before service, starting at 5, we're doing a trick-or-treat street. There's so much candy in your office right now. It's ridiculous.
I'm going to get on a sugar high tonight.
I mean, get your kids all
I'm gonna eat
nice
it
and
all.
sugar high. It'll be great. So please bring your kiddos from 5, before service starting at 5. We'll have a trick-or-treat street just throughout free in the building. And then after, we're having an after-service party, teaming up with Aurora Sober Living on this. So it'll be in the cafe right next door. So we'll have just some light snacks and some drinks, and then also the cafe will be open. So we're just encouraging everyone to wear costumes, kiddos, and you're wearing a costume. You won't tell me what it is, or anyone.
My wife hasn't told me what I'm wearing yet.
Oh my God.
So you can't know yet.
Oh my God.
Because I don't know.
Because you don't even know.
We'll figure it out.
I can't wait. It's going to be great. So you guys have to come next Saturday to know what Ryan is dressing up as.
Mm-hmm.
So bring your kiddos and feel free to dress up if you feel inclined to do so, but that's next Saturday. So starting November 3rd, so it'll be every Tuesday in the cafe right next door, we're going to be having a friends and family support group. And so that'll be a weekly thing every Tuesday.
Yes.
It's not related to any kind of 12-step program, but just...
No, but it does follow a curriculum called CRAFT.
Yes.
And they do a
It's
great
very
job with
structured.
this. Y'all might remember Brooke
Mm-hmm.
Donahue, who was here. She was a guest storyteller, the loved one of someone battling addiction. And they've got this curriculum that they use. So we're partnering with Illuminate Recovery Services for this. And they're just, they're fire. So if you are the loved one and you need some support, this group is for you.
Yeah. So a very intentional support group for loved ones of addicts. So we encourage you to be there. November 3rd is when it starts. So it's every Tuesday evening at 6 p.m. in the cafe starting November 3rd. And then last up, on November 10th, that's a Thursday, we're teaming up with the Phoenix again to do a sober open mic night. So spots fill up very quickly. So if you plan on participating, please sign up as soon as possible. And if you plan on attending, you have to sign up as well. So there is the QR code in the flyer on the Facebook page, on the email blast that we send out. But we're only taking 12 participants.
12 performers, yes.
Performers, I'm sorry.
We can fill up the space in here, but 12 performers.
Yep, nope, we can fill up the space.
So if you want to perform, sign up now.
Yep, absolutely. And then the people who are attending, please sign up as well using that QR code. Again, the cafe will be open, but that starts at 7, so from 7 to 9 on November 10th in this room. And it's a great night, just comedy and
fun.
Singing. Sometimes you dance, it's kind of weird, but it's
I did a
okay.
dance last time. I got lots of views. I couldn't believe it.
Well, that's all I had.
Thank you, Noelle,
so
for being here. And if you weren't here last week, Noelle announced, and Mickey, that they are expecting a child. So we're celebrating that with them still. Sorry, did I have your permission to announce that twice? I did. Okay. Thank you, Noelle. It's good to have you up here. Oh, let me say this too. We're like always looking for more kids volunteers. So if you ever want to volunteer in the kids' rooms on a Saturday night, we actually need you. So if that pulls on your heartstrings at all, please do. There's a sign-up sheet right out here on this table as you exit these doors on the left. We need volunteers. You don't have to have anything unique or special about you. You just got to show up and actually love kids. And so if you're interested in that, please do sign up and you will be contacted. We actually need y'all. So thank you for that. Okay, y'all, the way we start here at Free Spiritual Community is we begin by celebrating together. We call them celebrations, and we take 3 minutes together and we lift up the good stuff because something so profound happens when we celebrate sobriety anniversaries and new babies being born and new jobs and all the new things that recovery brings us, and maybe it has nothing to do with recovery. We celebrate that too. So take 3 minutes, and Matt is going to pass around the mic. Who has the mic? Noelle, Matt's got the mic. So just slip up your hand. We'll take 3 minutes if you're online. Get vulnerable, get open, get honest. Give us your celebration in the YouTube comments or Facebook comments because we want to celebrate with y'all too. So take 3 minutes. Dara.
I'm celebrating that my sponsee is here for her first time. That's her 6 months today.
All right. Welcome to Free. We're glad you're here.
I'm Mike, an addict alcoholic, and if I can fall asleep and wake up 3 more nights, I'll have 10 years of sobriety.
10 years of sobriety. And let me just say a word real quick. Mike has been joining us online each week for many, many years, like 2 years. And He flew here to celebrate with us all the way from Chicago with his wife. It's so good to have you here tonight. First time here, welcome.
My name is Noelle, and I just want to celebrate Kira, who had 3 years of sobriety this week.
Kira, 3 years.
Oh.
6 months, 10 years, 3 years.
Come on, let's celebrate. Here we go.
Hi, I'm Barb. Hello, everybody. I got a new hip last week, so I'm
All right,
celebrating
Barb.
that. And 41 days sober.
Way to go, Barb. Keep on going.
Very hip.
I like that, Matt.
Hey, I'm Jackie, and yesterday was my belly button birthday, and I moved into a rental that I'm really excited about.
All right, Jackie. Congratulations.
Hey, I'm Cy. I just want to celebrate this new phase in my life. I'm moving out of the main building in Step Denver downtown and into a sober living house tomorrow. And I also want to mention that my daughter, I want to celebrate a family in Parker that has been willing to take my daughter for the winter. Kathy and Alan, just fantastic people that we met this last week, and they're going to take care of my daughter while I'm doing the rest of my program.
Awesome, Cy. Congratulations, buddy.
My name is Jared, and I'm celebrating that my friend Matt is reunited with his dog after missing for 3 months.
Yeah, that was big news. Thank you for lifting that up. We're happy for you, Matt.
Any more?
You got 18 seconds.
Yeah, for those that haven't heard, I was asking for prayers from all this community. I had lost a beautiful 1-year-old Siberian Husky while I was hiking with her, and she was gone for 3 months. And it's a beautiful story that someone just turned her in at the Denver Animal Shelter. Her microchip was scanned. I'm at opening night with the Avs with my daughter, and all of a sudden I get a buzz on my phone, and it says, "Your dog's just been found." Her buzz.
The prodigal Husky. Can I have that mic? I'll give it to Miss Tammy Kennedy. Thank you for joining me up here, Tammy.
Thank you.
I really like that thing you're wearing.
Thanks.
I dig it. I don't know what to call it. I just like it.
Komodo.
A Komodo?
Yes.
I love this Komodo that you're wearing. Okay. Shall we celebrate with our online peeps?
Unknown user. Celebrating my daughter's continued recovery at 93 days sober today.
Congratulations, unknown user. We don't know who you are, but we're celebrating with you. Sherry Blosser says, the most amazing woman on this earth, Miss Kara Shockley, she is amazing,
Yes, she
has
is.
6 years sober
Today.
today. Way to go, Karis. Thank you for lifting her up, Sherry.
Yay.
Sherry, your sister's our guest storyteller tonight.
In case you didn't know. Stephanie says, celebrating successfully changing out my back door handle. That's good, Steph. There were tears of frustration, but I did it. Also, so glad our friend from Chicago is in the house. Welcome, Mike.
Yeah, thank you, Stephanie, for lifting that up. Bilbo.
Snaggins.
Bilbo Snaggins. I just want to say that name again. I get to love on all you from Colorado Springs, and there's nothing you can do about it.
Oh.
And 7 years ago today, I went through my last opiate withdrawal.
Andrew,
B.
we
Bilbo.
love you. Bilbo. Love
Drew,
you,
we
Andrew.
love you, brother. Thank you for sharing that with us. We are celebrating with you. You never know what you're going to get in this community.
Oh my gosh, I love it. Hey, Arnold, I would like to celebrate that I'm finally able to give back to my family after 10 years of addiction. My 3rd year of sobriety was September 19th. We're glad you're here. It's been a while.
Arnold. Yeah, thanks for sharing that with us, buddy.
Hey, Jeff.
You know what I like about not having a handheld mic? So I went back to the headset, and now I can actually clap with y'all. It's so awesome. Jeff says, hey, free. Happy to be here and excited to hear Shandra Swenson share her wisdom. Thankful for Chandrulium. Shandra, Andrew, and their son, Liam. All right, Shandra is our guest storyteller. You're going to meet her in just a bit if you don't know her. Thank you for lifting that up, Jeff. So good to be with you all. You got to stay with me for one more moment. Simone Meyer, would you come join us up here on the stage?
Simone.
Now, y'all know Simone Meyer. Can we give her a round of applause? Why don't you stand right in the middle? You did have another surgery this week. I did. So that's why she's all got up like that. But Simone has served in this community in several capacities for the last several years, like 3 years, right?
Yeah.
I think it's been at least 3 years. Yeah. She's been the community coordinator for the last, I don't know, year. Thank you, Simone. I'm glad you're here.
Right, since we moved in.
Yes, since we moved in here. Oh my goodness, that was almost a year ago. Yeah. Anyway, this is her last week as serving as our community coordinator. Simone's still going to be around, so we're not saying goodbye, but we do want to celebrate everything you have given to this community, your time, energy, and love that you've poured out. So thank you for that. Thank you for serving. We have a little gift for you. But before you take the gift, Tammy made a little video, and we wanted to show. It's a little reel she made because we found some really old pictures, like 3 years old pictures. Yeah. But here's a little video of Simone. Why don't you all take a look for a moment? Yes, yes. Do you remember that? Yes, you are. Oh, little Romy. Simone was baptized here? Not here, the old location. Simone, we have so appreciated having you here. Honored to call you friend. Thank you for everything.
It's been an honor and a pleasure. Can you hear me? Okay.
But the online people can't hear you.
Oh, sorry, online people. It's been an honor and a pleasure, and this place has been home and family for so long, and I've kind of grown up here. You know, I'm a big girl now.
Yes.
So I love this place. It is so much to so many people, and you have been instrumental in my journey to God. So thank you.
Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Awesome. Simone, this is for you. Some coffee and a little wagon.
I got to share a quick story, of course.
Oh, share a quick story.
You know, I think that my favorite thing about the last, especially 3 years with you, was during 2020, and there was like 3 people in the room, and Simone was always one of them, sitting with me and Andrew and the tech team, and that's a special memory.
Because
I'm
2020 was COVID-19.
When we were on lockdown, she was behind the scenes.
Yes, she was.
We weren't supposed to be there.
Yeah, don't tell anyone. Don't tell anyone.
Love you, Simone.
I love you too.
All right. Thank you all. Thank you all. Am I missing anything else? I think we're good. Well, so, hey, we are in week 3 of the Recovery and Relationships series. We've been covering all kinds of relationships and how we approach different relationships. This is the one week I am focusing on romantic relationships. What does love look like in those committed relationships, and how can we bring our best self to the relationship? So that's where we'll hang out tonight.
Wow, stop.
Bye. All right, let's talk about love, shall we? So Tammy and I met, my wife and I met in March and started dating in March of 2003. And we were both 20 years old at the time. We met on the college campus where we were attending college together. And actually, she was a second-year student. I was a transfer student coming in. And do y'all want to hear how it went down? Yeah. Here's how it went down. So literally, our paths crossed. There's a path in the middle of campus, and she was coming this way, and I was coming this way. And this hot girl stops me and says, "Hey, do you know where the library is?" Now, I said, "Oh, you must be new here." Because I'm new. I don't know where the library is. And she says, "No, actually, this is my second year here." Now, apparently, the best pickup line I could think of at the time was, "Wait a minute. You've been here for over a year and you don't know where the library is?" That started this hot romantic relationship between me and Tammy. Now, I did not tell Tammy that I loved her until more than a year later. It was May 27th of 2004, and that's her birthday. And because by that time in my life, I had been through enough in past relationships. I knew that when I said the words, "I love you," I wanted them to mean something. I wanted them to hold some weight, some gravitas. So I waited until May 27th, her birthday of 2004. We were back in my hometown, Lake of the Ozarks, Missouri, where I grew up. And we were spending the summer together, and y'all, I had the day perfectly planned out. I mean, it was a beautiful day. She got up that morning and went to work. And I had flowers delivered at her work. And later that morning when she got off, I had an appointment set up where she could get her nails done. And it was a beautiful moment. And then she came back home, and the house where I grew up, it's literally like on the lake, and it faces this beautiful cove on Lake of the Ozarks. And so she got back to the house, and we jumped in the boat and went around a few coves and found a beautiful lake restaurant and had lunch together. Another beautiful moment. Now, the night before that, me and my brother-in-law, we got together and we got these big white sheets, and we spray painted some words on these white sheets. So while we were at lunch, my brother-in-law and sister hung these white sheets from the deck so that when Tammy and I came back on the boat and rounded the corner and came into the cove, she saw these sheets hanging from the deck. Yeah, it was a beautiful moment. Like I was on my game this day, all right? Beautiful moment. I asked her to marry me. I proposed, and she said yes right there on that boat. Another beautiful moment. We were engaged for another year, and then it was May 12th of 2005 that we were married in the beautiful mountains of Evergreen, Colorado. Yeah, look at us. I had just turned 23, and she was almost 23. Now, we could go on and paint this beautiful love story to you all. And I could try to convince you that we have it all figured out and we have all the answers and you just got to do this. But y'all know the truth that love isn't always easy, is it? Love is not always easy. In fact, it was our first year being married. We were in counseling, marriage counseling, because we could not figure out how to deal with conflict in a healthy way. We did not have the tools. Neither one of us had the tools to work through the religious baggage that we brought into the marriage. Both of us grew up in a more evangelical, fundamentalist, Christian, Midwest environment. We brought in this religious baggage that we didn't know what to do with. And you all know that through my 20s, I battled addiction. Didn't get sober until I was 30. So in our 30s, I did my inner work and Tammy did her inner work. And y'all do know that that inner work, it's not just like you do it and then you're done. It's a lifelong process that we just keep doing. But what we can tell you now is, if you want a healthy love life, if you want a healthy relationship with your spouse, your partner, your significant other, you have to be healthy. It starts with you. You have to be intentional about your own health, because your relationship with the other will only be as healthy as the least healthy one of you. Does that make sense? So if one of you have done the interior work, and you've done that heart and soul work, the hard work, and the other one hasn't done the interior work, your relationship together will be this healthy, because you are only as healthy as the least one of you. Now, in your life, in your relationships, you will hit slumps. You realize that, right? You'll hit times and seasons of slumps. In your life, in your relationships with your romantic partner, you'll hit these slumps, and it's normal, it's natural. Embrace it when you go through it, but you have to remain vigilant about your own health, mind, body, and spirit. And y'all, honestly, recently I went through one of these slumps where I just not feeling myself, not feeling my best self. And see, I know enough now to know that when I go through those seasons, and we all go through these seasons, don't beat yourself up over it. But when you're in that season, I know the things now that I have to do to stay healthy. If Ryan wants to stay healthy, I must go to the gym 3 or 4 days a week, even when I don't feel like it, because it gets the endorphins flowing. It does something good for mind, body, and spirit. I must stay connected to my recovery and still go to meetings and still hang out with my recovery comrades. I must fill my mind with new ideas, so that determines new books that I read or new podcasts. I must stay connected spiritually, so I have to set aside time in the day to spend time with myself and with God. I must do these things. I have to hold tight to the values. Simple things like telling my kids each day that I love them, even if they've been complete disasters. When Tammy and I go to bed each night, we try to end each night with the words, I love you, even if we've been in a fight and an argument that day. I have to hold tight to those values, because, see, you have to remain healthy so that you can bring your best self into the relationship. Now, about 7 years ago, Tammy became pretty unhappy. In fact, I would say profoundly unhappy with her work life in the corporate world, where she worked for many years. And we were having a conversation at our kitchen table, and man, this job, it was draining her of life. It was sucking all of her energy. It wasn't doing anything good for her or the family. And I said, Tam, you just have to quit. Like, it's time for you to go do something you love. Do something you're passionate about. I mean, life is too short. And she says, well, I get all that, but what are we going to do about finances? How are we going to make this work financially? And I said, I don't know, but we will make it work. If we have to sell the house and go back to our 1-bedroom apartment, we can do that. We can do that. If I have to take on another job, and while you're figuring things out, we can do that. We will make it work. So 2 weeks later, I'm in Africa. All right, so for a few years, I was spent some time each year in Africa with doing women's empowerment work, and I'm sleeping under my mosquito net one night, and I get a FaceTime call. Wi-Fi was really dicey, and it was Tammy. And I said, honey, I think you just said you quit your job. She said, yeah, I put in my 2 weeks notice today. And I said, oh my goodness, what are we going to do financially? How are we going to make this work? And she said, well, you said you'd make it work. I said, I know, baby. We're going to make this work. We're going to figure it out. And guess what? We figured it out. And still to this day, Tammy says that was a pivotal moment in our relationship, where she knew that she was loved and cared for, and she felt secure. And I don't say that to boost myself up and say, look at how great I am. But I sacrificed not out of dread. I had a sacrificial mindset, not out of dread and because I have to do this, but I sacrificed. I had that mentality because by this time in our marriage, we had that foundation in our relationship. And I knew the sacrifices she made for me. And man, I wanted to do that for her. I knew the long, hard hours she worked while I was in seminary, bringing in hardly any income, while she's working so that I could pursue my dreams and goals. I wanted her to have that same opportunity, the same opportunity she gave me. And by this time in our marriage, we had that firm foundation. We had done the work. And see, when you have that foundation, that will allow you to know what it looks like for your partner to thrive. It will allow you to know what their dreams and ambitions and goals are. It will allow you to know, if you do the work and have the foundation, to know what makes them feel loved and secure. So, over the course of my ministry, I've officiated several weddings. And it's always a great joy to be a part of that. And I know different pastors do it different ways, but what I generally do is I meet with the couple 3 times. And we do 3 sessions of premarital counseling. And I remind them I'm not a licensed counselor. If you need counseling, you need to go to someone else. But we do premarriage counseling, and we plan the ceremony together. And in those 3 sessions, we always talk about conflict, finance, and romance. Because if you don't have somewhat of a grasp on these things, it's going to be really, really challenging. And believe me, I do not pry into their sex lives or into their financial lives, but I do remind them, y'all better make sure you're at least on the same page with these things. Like, you better talk about these things. In conflict, you better have a healthy way to deal with these things. And I remind them, what your partner needs from you more than anything is to hear you say, I am for you and I have your back. Do you know how many conflicts that can solve? And I always have them read this book together. It's called The Zim Zoom of Love, A New Way of Understanding Marriage, written by Rob and Kristen Bell. Rob is one of my favorite spiritual teachers, and he wrote this book with his wife, Kristen. I highly recommend it. And this word Zim Zoom, and you can read this. It's a simple read, by the way. But this word Zim Zoom, it's an ancient Hebrew word, and it essentially refers to the space that's between you two, the space that allows you to thrive in this relationship. And in this book, they talk about the 3 stages of love that most relationships encounter. The 3 stages of love are spark, substance, and sacrifice. So you can remember them, the 3 S's. Spark, let's talk about spark for just a moment. You see, spark, it's that feeling like your heart's been hijacked. You see them and the adrenaline starts to rush. The dopamine start to flow. Something happens when you're around this person. Anyone experience some spark in their love life? Yeah, come on, you can be proud of that. Ain't nothing wrong with spark. Spark's a good thing. Man, when I was 20, 21 years old, I would go to that particular Starbucks where Tammy was a barista at that Starbucks. And when I would walk in, my heart would begin to pound, the hands get a little sweaty, the dopamines are rushing in. Something happens. That's called spark. Now, here's what's interesting. Research tells us that physiologically, the body can only maintain that kind of intensity for about 6 to 9 months. So, if you're in a relationship and you are just relying on spark, you're never going to make it. You can't. Your body can't sustain it. If you're just relying on spark, it will be a matter of time before you are bored and then looking outside of the relationship, and that's not a good idea. Spark isn't enough. It's only a matter of time, which leads to substance. Y'all know what substance is? Yeah, substance. It includes the character, integrity, and qualities you admire in this person. You might even say things like, he or she's my best friend. Substance endures. Substance is what happens when you discover that you have shared values. Have you ever tried to date someone and your values were out of alignment? It'll never work. Substance happens when you realize you have similar values, not that you agree on everything, but you have some shared values and you're moving in a similar direction together. Spark doesn't last, but substance will always be there and it endures. Which leads to the third one, sacrifice. Yeah, y'all know what sacrifice is? It's when it costs you something to love this person, but it's a price you gladly pay. If the love is going to last, if you are going to create a life together, there will be times where you sacrifice. And it's not because you do it out of dread and because you have to. Oh my goodness, I just don't want to make the sacrifice, but I guess I will. I'll step up. No, you do it because by that time the love is deep and you know what it means to want this other person to thrive. And see, do you know what we've done culturally? We've taken the sacred out of sacrifice. I mean, you see it happen all the time. What do we do the night before the wedding? Yeah, we got to have that big bachelorette party. Got to have that big bachelor party. Well, why do we do that? All the boys will get around you and remind you that, oh, we got to go out tonight and get all the wildness out. Well, we got to get it all out because come this time tomorrow, you're going to be hitched forever. And by the way, you're going to be sleeping with the same person for the rest of your life. And that's boring. So go celebrate now. You see how it just takes the sacred totally out of it. And what I can tell y'all, one of the greatest gifts in my marriage has been sleeping with, having sex with, and no, I'm not going to go deep into our sex life. That would be awkward. Having sex with one woman for the last 17 years. It's a gift that doesn't get old over time, but it keeps getting better over time. But man, if we start taking the sacred out of covenant, man, that's a scary place to be. And I do have a confession to make. So I want to ask y'all that it doesn't leave this room. You online, don't let it leave your living room. You know, for the past 2 years, I have been a faithful and loyal viewer of the TV reality show Married at First Sight. Any Married at First Sight fans out there? Oh, yes, you are my people. I feel you. Y'all, when we started watching it, I hated it. Tammy would try to drag me into it, and I absolutely hated this show. Why do we got to watch another episode? And now I'm the one on Wednesday nights. I get into bed early, I cue up the TV, and I got my sparkly water, and we don't miss an episode of Married at First Sight. Married at First Sight. If you haven't seen it, here's the very basic premise. There's these total strangers, like several singles, and they're matched up by these experts. You have a sociologist, a psychologist, and a marriage counselor. His name is Pastor Cal. And they match up these singles, and these total strangers meet each other for the very first time at the altar where they get married, and it's a legal marriage. And then after they marry this total stranger, they have 8 weeks until final decision day. At the end of the 8 weeks, they decide, are we going to stay married or are we going to get a divorce? Now, here's what's fascinating. I did some research. 14 seasons into this show, 64% of the couples chose to stay married. Not a bad rate. However, only 24% of the couples have long-term success, meaning they're still married to this day. Not a great rate, not a great percentage. Why? Why would this happen? Because if they're lucky, they might have some spark. They might meet each other and the heart starts pounding and they're really into it. They have some spark. If the experts did their job, they might even have some substance. They might have similar values, shared values. But y'all, it is very difficult in 8 weeks to move to a place of sacrifice. Because sacrifice requires a good foundation. Sacrifice requires things like trust and knowing that the other person has your back and that they are for you. Do you know it's one of the most powerful things you can say in your relationship with your spouse, your partner, your significant other? I love you, I am for you, and I have your back. If you're in one of those relationships, you should try saying that tonight. Very, very powerful. It was 2,000 years ago, in the first century, when the Apostle Paul described love this way. And I want you to see if it resonates with you. I think he was on to something. He said, love is patient. Love is kind. It does not envy. It does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It protects, it always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. And did you all catch that line? It keeps no record of wrongs. You see, competition is a good thing. On the field, it's good. In the arena, it's good. Competition on the golf course, it's good. When the scorecard and keeping score on the golf course, it's a good thing. It helps you know who the winner is. But competition in your marriage, keeping score in your marriage will never serve you well. And I can't tell y'all how many times I see the scorecard come into a marriage or a relationship with your significant other, and it totally poisons it. You see, if you want healthy relationships, you have to get rid of the scorecard. It's the number one thing you have to get rid of is that scorecard. Anyone here clinging to a scorecard? And you know what it is, right? You know what the scorecard is? It's where you're keeping track of how much you're giving and how much you're not giving. Who's doing more and who's not doing enough. Who's carrying the most and who's not carrying anything. Whose turn it is to empty the dishwasher and whose turn it is to fold the laundry. And the scorecard is at the center of so many fights, and it always poisons the space between you. If you want a healthy relationship, you will have to sacrifice the scorecard. It doesn't work. And I'm telling y'all, for the first 5 years of our marriage, man, we tried to live this way. We might as well have taped it up onto the refrigerator with a big black magic marker, and it never worked because love doesn't keep score. It will leave you feeling entitled and looking out for yourself and fearful of not getting what's so rightfully yours and fearful of the other person winning. And see, if you want to get rid of the scorecard, you will have to make a conscious decision to choose love over fear. That's why one New Testament author said this sentence: "There is no fear in love, but perfect love drives out fear because fear expects punishment." And y'all, here's the kicker. I'll leave you with this. In my experience, those of us that have lived the scorecard, we do it not only in those relationships, our romantic relationships, but we do it with most of our relationships, including our relationship with God. We live in that fear, living in that fear of, am I good enough? God, am I good enough? And what if I've done too many wrong things and then I get punishment and get sent to this place called hell where I'm going to burn and suffer forever and ever and ever because I didn't have the furniture arranged correctly up here. And you're wondering, you have this fear, did you make too many mistakes along the way and in your past? And did you kind of lose out on God's love? And so now you're trying to earn it back and you're keeping score. You got the scorecard and you're like marking things down, trying to convince yourself that you're worthy enough. And then you stand before God and say, God, see, I mean, look at all the points that I got. Am I good enough now? Do you love me now? Am I in? And I think every time we do that, God stands before us and says, yo, I do not play that game. I do not play the scorecard. This scorecard just means absolutely nothing to me because love, my love for you, is not conditional on what you do or don't do. And my love for you does not keep record of wrongs. You see, my brothers and sisters, stop working so hard to get what is already yours. And can I just leave you with this final word and remind you that the whole thing is about grace. And do you know what another word for grace is? It's gift. And what's the thing about a gift? It can't be earned. It can only be received. It's why another author in another letter in the New Testament said these words, and I think they're so profound. You are saved by God's grace because of your faith. This salvation is God's gift. It's not something you possessed. It's not something you did that you could be proud of. Instead, we are God's accomplishment. Have you ever thought of yourself as God's accomplishment? Another way to think about it. Did any of you sitting here tonight or watching online, did any of you get clean and sober because of something great that you did? Nah. If you're like me, you came in at the bottom. You didn't exactly come in on a winning streak. You didn't have any points on any sort of scorecard. You didn't do anything. But for the grace of God, there go I. And when you remember the grace that's been given to you, you will more easily extend that grace to your spouse, your partner, your significant other. And remember, love keeps no record. So Hallie is going to play a song for us called The Fall. Hallie Marie, who played for us a few weeks ago. She's absolutely fabulous. And hey, I just want to invite you, while she's playing, I have these scorecards. If anyone is clinging to a scorecard in one of your relationships in your life, or maybe you've been trying to play this point system with God and God's like, yo, I ain't having it. If you want to come up and take one of these scorecards and just simply rip it in half and leave it on a stage, I will take these and burn these things later tonight because these things have absolutely no place in our life. So as Hallie Marie starts to sing, and if you want to rip up a scorecard, I've got several of them up here. Come on up and rip a scorecard. Hallie, thank you for being here.
I swore I'd never love again. I tell them that I'm no good at pretending. Don't know how many minutes we have left. I've waited my whole life for this. Just let me have the time I've missed. So don't fall asleep. Stay with me. I just wanna be here with you. You're all I see. My heart is here upon my sleeve. I swore I'd never trust again. I didn't want to hurt, but I'll hurt for you. I question all reality, but if I feel you here with me, my dear, then how can I be dreaming? So don't fall asleep, stay with me. I just wanna look at you while you look at me. Keep you under covers, all my fears relieve. When you're with me, nowhere, oh nowhere but here, oh, is where I wanna be. So don't fall asleep, stay with me. I just wanna look at you while you look at me. Keep keep you under covers, all my fears relieve. When you're with me, so stay with me. My heart is here between these sheets.
Thank you, Hallie Marie. She's good, isn't she? Yeah, that's beautiful stuff, Hallie. Thank you for not just singing, but being part of this community. Y'all probably know Hallie. She's in the back on the tech team each week, and it's such a gift to have you here. Should I help move this? Are you good? I feel like I'm not doing nothing. All right, let me just introduce our guest storyteller. So if you're new with us this evening, ooh, I just had an Altoid, and it went down the throat. If you're new with us this evening, you should know that every single Saturday night we have a guest storyteller in the house to share with us some of their experience. Tonight we have the therapist, the expert in trauma, whose office is right down the hallway. She's on site here at Free. She's a trauma therapist, and she's a clinical counselor. Her name is Shandra Swenson. She's going to join us tonight. And let me say this about Shandra. What I asked her to do, because she's also got a husband named Andrew, and he's a great dude. Y'all meet Andrew. You know what I realized during this whole thing? I did y'all's wedding, like not too long ago. I put it together after you and I met this week. I don't know why that took me time to put together. Anyway, I said, you know, I don't want both of you to come up, because nothing against Andrew. I love Andrew, but I want Shandra to share with us like some of what she sees in her practice and some stories around that. And what are some tools you can give us with to have healthy relationships in our life? So that's what we're going to do tonight. So come on up, Shandra. Give her a big round of applause. Thank you, Bobby. Yeah, turn it on. Jen, good to see you. I'm nervous too. She just said I'm nervous. It is, isn't it? You couldn't hear what she said because she didn't have her mic up. But she said it's very different one-on-one than all of us. So what I always tell each guest storyteller is we're just going to have a conversation. We ain't even going to worry about them.
Okay.
They're not even here,
Okay.
but they get to overhear us.
Sure.
You have so much love here. It's ridiculous. I got to pull up my notes from what we talked about. So Shandra, let's start here. By the way, the name of her counseling is Faith, Hope, Love Counseling. I love that. So tell us the importance. One of the things you and I talked about when we met was the importance of being on the same page. If you're in a relationship with your spouse, partner, significant other, being on the same page together is so important. And how do we get there? What are some tools you can give us?
Okay. So there's actually quite a few tools, but I'm going to cover 3 tools.
Okay.
And one of the ones that I think is the most important is you have to know yourself. So before you can connect fully with somebody else, you really have to know what's going on inside of you, what's coming up, and what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
He told me earlier too.
Yeah, tech team gets on you about that. You got to hold the mic up.
So one of the things that I do in my counseling practice is something called internal family systems.
Yep.
IFS. And internal family systems in a nutshell is basically a great way for you to get to know yourself and all of the parts and how they work in your system. So we have protector parts and we have wounded parts, and sometimes those things can get in the way. Protectors parts might show up with anxiety, perfectionism, things like that. And most of the time they're trying to protect some of these wounds.
Yeah.
So wounds from previous relationships, childhood, whatever could, cause a wound. And they keep us from getting to our truest self, our healthiest self. And so what this model does is it helps you to get to know what's going on and to heal those wounds so that you can choose to live in self. So that's one way.
Yeah, and just give us like the short synopsis of, so the walls go up because I've got some childhood wounds, or I've got some baggage that I'm bringing into this relationship. Walls go up because I'm not going to get hurt again. I'm going to protect myself. How do you begin to, so you recognize those walls are up. What's like the first step in dismantling the walls?
I think you have to really first, and this is what I see a lot in my practice, is some people don't really realize that there's a wall going up. And I was going to talk a little bit more about this, but it starts with the small stuff. So what happens is it's small and then it builds, and kind of the scorecard can happen, or stories start getting attached. And next thing you know, you feel like you've got your partner completely figured out and the story around it, and the wall's up.
Yeah.
And then your partner's reading it a different way, and so their wall's up. And so you gotta know what's going on in yourself so that you can say, I'm noticing this fear. I'm noticing this intense feeling of like wanting to shape things or manipulate. And that doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
And so I want to live in my truest self. And I know they were going to put up a picture of there it is. So these are the 8 C's. When you're in your healthiest true self, you're able to access these without having to be taught. They're just, humans have them when we're acting in our healthiest self. So instead of living in fear or with the scorecard or stories and letting that wall build, you can choose one of these and get some of that stuff out.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, the stories we tell ourselves. So because we can spin out really quickly. Like if I text Tammy and she doesn't text me back within 13 seconds, it's all of a sudden like today when I text, she was down in the basement. I thought she had left and like went to get lunch, and I'm spinning out over where'd she go and why didn't she let me know? And she's like, yo, I was just in the basement. I didn't have my phone. But it's the stories we could, the little things can be the big things, but they're actually little things.
Yep, it starts with that. So if outside of counseling, some other things I tell my clients for how they can get to know themselves is to meditate.
Yep.
Just sit and notice what's coming in, what's going out, what's sticking. Pausing. A lot of times we just go from one thing to another thing to another thing, and we might be feeling kind of anxious or something, and we never spend the time getting to know what's going on or why it's there.
Yeah.
And so just sit, get curious, like, why is this here? Why am I feeling this? And what do I want to do about it?
Yeah.
Maybe I need to take good care of myself today, or maybe I need to communicate. Another thing is journaling. So getting everything that's going on in here out on paper so you can look at it and go, is there a theme? Is there something important here that needs to be done? So those are just all ways to get to know yourself before you can connect.
Yeah, so being healthy, getting to know yourself to be healthy so we can bring our best self into the relationship.
Yeah.
Okay, are we at a transition moment? Was that the two?
I don't know.
Well, I got more questions for you as well. Did you have more to say on that?
I was going to give you guys 2 more
give us
ways.
2
I
more,
know that first one's kind of clinical and...
Yes, give us 2 more.
Okay, so another way that you can connect with your partner is to get curious.
Yep.
And it kind of goes back to those stories. So something can be said to us, something can be done, and we automatically feel like we've got our partner figured out. We've got the story of why they did it, and then it like starts attacking, like, oh, they don't love us or whatever, or stuff that comes up with it.
Yeah.
So getting curious is cleaning that slate, saying, I don't know, but I need to find out more. So not going in with the story, but going in saying, I really want to understand my partner. I want to be on the same team as them.
Yeah.
And then the third thing to help get on the same page, which probably seems very obvious, is communication. But a lot of what I see with communication is it's always around the big stuff. So we're not going to communicate about the little things that bothered me from day to day, even though I can feel it in my body. I'm going to wait until that builds and my story's like full narrative, and then it's going to come out. And so you want to communicate about your needs, and your needs need to be specific. So just saying to your partner, I really need you to help out more. They might already feel like they're helping out. So you have to really be specific in what you need and say, well, if you could do these 3 things, I'd really appreciate it. Would you mind doing that? You want to communicate your boundaries, what you're okay with, what you're not okay with, how you want to be treated. And then I think the last thing that desperately needs to be communicated is just sharing with your partner where you're at.
Yeah.
So if you're having a bad day, instead of coming home and just slamming cabinets and stomping around, slow down, look at your partner and say, I had a really rough day today. I might need some space.
Yeah.
Or I really need to vent. Can you just listen and not try to fix? So just little things like that, but you're not expecting. I see a lot of people expecting, especially in long-term relationships, their partner to read their mind. And it's constantly changing, your relationship and us as people.
Man, quick story on that. You know, when early in our marriage, one of the things that was most helpful, friend and mentor, he was a professor of mine, New Testament professor. He said, look, when you're in seminary, you're going to be learning all these ideas, and these ideas are going to be like highly academic. And he said, I really encourage, he told both of us, keep talking to one another. Let her in on what you're learning, because those little things make a big difference, and you don't want to separate. You want to grow together. And it was hugely helpful in her. That's one of the things we did really well, I think, honey. Yes.
I actually have a story too.
Oh, give us a story.
And Andrew's really gracious. He's letting me share all this stuff, but it was something actually really small. So you're going to hear it and be like, that's ridiculous. But that's where it starts.
Yeah.
And it was about how different we were when we were getting ready to eat. So he would grab his plate, grab a drink, grab a napkin, sit down. I'm making sure burners are turned off, dogs are in. I'm like, babe, do you need a napkin? You need a drink? All of that. And then sitting down. Well, I started to notice the story or the scorecard.
Yeah.
Like something building. And so I just sit with myself and I'm like, when I got to the root of it, I was like, it feels like he doesn't care about me, right? So it's like you narrow it down. And so, but I'm like, that's not true of him. Yeah. I know him, and that's not true. So I need to get curious. So I went to him and I explained, kind of some of the things I was thinking. And the look on his face, he had no clue any of that was going on in my head. And he was just like, oh my, I had no idea. He's like, let me just tell you how my brain works. And he's strategic and a 4.
Enneagram 4.
Yeah.
Come on, where's my 4s? Yes.
So he literally, without even thinking about it, mapped it out. Fridge, napkin, seat. And when he said that, I could see it in other parts of our relationship, and we were actually able to laugh about it.
Yeah.
And how different we are. And I can now kind of tease him about it, and he teases me about it. But it felt so much better than me going in and being like, you're so selfish. How come you never asked me about a napkin? And going right into the reaction.
Yeah.
And then the really cool thing happened. I didn't have to say anything. And then next thing you know, there's an extra napkin being torn off. And like he's filling my water bottle. And it was like I felt heard, and I didn't even have to go on the defense or anything. But that was from getting curious.
Yeah. And
knowing what was going on in me, and then getting curious about what the truth was.
Oh, that's beautiful.
And wanting to align with my partner. Yeah.
Yeah. So to tell us really quick, Shandra, and we just have a couple minutes left, but man, this stuff is
knew
so
I was going to go long.
No, you're doing great. Thank you.
Okay.
This is the stuff we need. So this is like a recovery community. And the recovery community, sometimes I hear that we're sick people. Thank God we're not all sick on the same day. But I know when you're dealing with couples, like one's in recovery or they're both in recovery, or what are some things you see? What are some things you see and some
I see the same things, but I will say that I see a lot of broken trust. So the thing about broken trust, though, is that it can be fixed. Yeah. Trust is built with time and consistency. And it's in that consistency piece that all of those things I just talked about, knowing yourself and communicating, really comes into play. So I have another story, and some people know my husband relapsed almost 3 years ago, which brought up a lot of stuff for both of us. I'd never seen that side. And I had to really sit in that and think, how can we move forward authentically and build trust? And I thought, okay, I need to put a boundary in place. I need him to see a counselor and work with a sponsor. And in my head, that was kind of my boundary where I was saying, I need to see that he's working on it, like getting to the root of this and being supported. From that point, it doesn't mean that trust was built or like it was completely back. It was a lot of communication, and he's an internal processor, so it's probably really painful. Why he married a counselor? The man is crazy. I don't know. But a lot of conversations, and stuff would come up in me, and I'd have to muster up the courage to say, I'm in my head. I feel like you're drinking. And he had to find the courage to say, hey, when you say it like that to me, it feels really accusatory. How can we get on the same page?
Yeah.
And we did. And he would send me a video of a breathalyzer. And he showed me, I want to build this back. And I showed him by communicating what I needed.
Yeah.
And then it just got better and better and better to the point where I didn't even have to ask. And now we don't even have to do it. But it took time. And it took us putting in that effort.
And thank you for saying that. It does not happen overnight. And I think you're spot on with couples in recovery where at least one's in recovery, one's battled addiction. Trust gets broken. And then we want it to just say, like, trust me, I'm good now. And you're like, no, you're not good now. You're like on day 12.
Yeah.
So it just takes time. But thank you for saying it can happen. It can be rebuilt.
Well, and I want to add that during that rebuild, it wasn't just his work.
Yeah.
I also had to do work. I couldn't, and I can say that I wasn't always good at that. At the beginning, I was in a lot of fear, and I was pointing a lot of fingers, saying, this is you know. And he actually had the courage to say to me, I don't feel like we're a team. And I was like, holy crap, he's right. I haven't been acting that way. I need to do my work too.
Yep.
Instead of just pointing fingers. So it was a journey.
But it can be done. Okay, I want you to leave us with this.
Okay.
What is the just a quick thing? What's the one thing that you see when it comes to committed, successful, long-term relationships? What's the one thing you want people to know?
I think everything I just talked about, and it's funny when Ryan asked me this question, it was like it went from like all these ideas to like filtering down.
Yep.
And I think I landed on grace. Because all of this work and communication and working through your own stuff with yourself and your partner, it's hard. This is hard work, and it takes a lot of courage to call up a counselor or to communicate with your partner that I'm insecure or afraid. And so I would say give yourself grace. Know that this is tough. It's going to maybe be harder before it's easier. And if you're feeling that and going through that, then your partner is too. So give yourself and give your partner grace.
That's beautiful. The whole thing is about grace.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Shandra Swenson, for being with us tonight. Beautiful. Yeah, her office is just down the hall. So if you want to talk to Shandra, are you sticking around a little bit tonight? Y'all do have a baby, so I understand getting babies to bed and all that stuff. Thank you for being with us. All right, y'all, the way we close things down here at Free on a Saturday night is we end the same way we begin. We take 3 minutes and we just lift up the heartaches, the burdens that you're carrying, the heaviness that you're carrying, because the truth is you have no business in carrying it alone. So Matt will pass around a mic again, and if there's something you're carrying and you need prayer for, you need some lifting up for, I encourage you to mention it before the community. It's an act of vulnerability, but I think it's worth it. And if you're online, you can put it in the comments on YouTube and Facebook, and we want to heartache with you there too. So take 3 minutes. All the way in the back.
Hi, everyone. One of my LinkedIn contacts, he's in another state and also in AA, and he got away from the program and got in with the wrong people. He's in jail right now. Please pray for him. Thanks.
Prayers for him. Thank you, Mike, for lifting him up.
Hi, my name's Kiefer. I'm just asking for prayers for my family and most of all my mother. Almost a month ago, my father died from this disease of alcoholism, and then a week after that, my brother was shot and killed. So I'll just ask for prayers.
Kiefer, I'm glad you're here, dude. Love you, brother. Prayers for you and your family.
Thank you. Our community lost a really good soul this week in Blake and with Sparrow, and just for his family, I know they're planning an event. I was reading the description of his life, and he did so much giving of himself to other people in recovery. And so just if you could lift him up in your prayers, that'd be great. Thanks.
Yeah, Blake Johnson's family. Thank you for mentioning him, Darren.
My name is Sonia, and I had a friend pass away today from this disease. She's been in the hospital for a few weeks, and today she passed to be with our Lord. So I just, her name is Kyle, and I just asked for prayers for her family and her friends.
Prayers for Kyle's family. Thank you for lifting them up, Sonia. So sorry for your loss. This disease is deadly. Anyone else carrying a burden, a heartache, something you need to lift up before the community? You've got 42 seconds. You got another one, Darren? Darren's got 2.
All right. Yeah, I normally wouldn't say anything. I just these last couple weeks I have been just drained, and I need strength. And sometimes doing a lot of things you don't know how to do can be a little overwhelming. So maybe you can pray for me. I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you for saying that, Darren. Hey, would y'all just out of an act of solidarity? I think my mic's a little hot, by the way, but raise your hand if you've felt drained the last couple of weeks. Darren, look at that, man. Sometimes I think we just need those little reminders that you're not alone. Prayers for you, brother. Love you, man. Matt Naraki, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad you're here, dude. You're going to heartache with me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you know how it works. And if you need to tear up a scorecard later, you can do that. Because they don't work, man. In a relationship, they don't work.
I beat you at golf.
We know that. I've never played. All right, Matt, you're going to read the first one with our online community.
From Stephen Sellup, please pray for Frank L. family. Frank's internal devils got the best of him. His family needs prayers. Prayers to you, Stephen. And for Frank L's family.
Yeah, thanks for lifting him up. Martha says, thinking of Will, who passed this week, he helped someone very dear to me when they were suffering. Martha, we're glad you're here tonight. We're lifting up Will's family and all those who loved Will. And Dara's here tonight. It's good to have you here, Dara. So thank you for sharing that with us, Martha.
Timon 3Y, pray for my brother from another mother, and Grandma, bless your heart. Prayers to the brother from another mother.
And a sister from another mister.
And a sister from a mister. Yes.
Thank you, Matt, for joining me up here. It's good to have you here. Thanks, brother. Love you, dude. You know, this is the part of the night where I just need to remind you all of the bad news. And the bad news is, and I reminded you last couple of weeks, but you see the overdose deaths, the people we lose in this community, the epidemic of loneliness that we face, that we're under, the epidemic of addiction. And we know that the opposite of addiction is connection. And that's what we're doing here at Free. We're creating that community of connection. It is the end result. And your giving to this community makes a profound difference. So I just want to remind you the importance of giving. And there is 3 ways to give. And the first is the free app. You can give there, and that's free to download, or the website. It's freespiritualcommunity.com. You could give there, or there's 2 kiosks, one right here and one just outside of this store here. And truly, y'all, you're giving in this community. It's what keeps us in existence. We do not exist without your giving. That's as plainly as I can say it. So we're really grateful for that. Thank you for making that part of your spiritual practice. Grateful, grateful. Thank you, thank you. And now we should go out with a prayer. I don't even know what prayer. Usually I pick the prayer and I tell the tech team, put this prayer on the screen. I don't remember if we chose a prayer tonight. So this one's going to be extemporaneous. Which one is it? Serenity prayer. All right, y'all. So let's just take a big deep breath. Yeah, remember, when God feels distant, the ancients believed that God was in your breathing. So when we say things like, "Where are you, God?" God's like, "Yo, I'm as close to you as your breath. I can't get any closer than that." Let's take a big deep breath. Open hands. And let's pray this prayer together. If you don't know it, it's on the screen. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, the courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. My free brothers and sisters, I'm speaking to some of you tonight when I say this. If you are in a relationship with a spouse, a partner, a significant other, tonight, before you go to bed, would you do this one practice? Look them in the eyes. Put your hands on their shoulders if you have to, and say the words, "I love you, I am for you, and I have your back." And when you do that, may you go in all kinds of grace and peace. And remember, when it comes to your relationships and your relationship with God, the scorecard doesn't work. The love is already yours. Grace and peace. My brothers and sisters, we'll see you next week.